why your matte foundation is no longer working for you. Take a look at this video. I'm going to explain and show you a demo as to my old preference, which was a matte full coverage foundation, to what I'm wearing now, which is a satin covered foundation, and the big difference I can see in my own skin by doing that. So we've got half and half going, and I'll explain more. Keep watching. Hi everyone, welcome back to boomxbeauty Beat. My name is Laura. We're tackling matte foundation today for mature women, and I know I was brought up with the thought that you had to wear matte foundation if you're a mature woman because anything shimmery or shiny or glowy brings out the wrinkles in your skin. But in actuality, it's the reverse. Keep on watching. I skipped a step and I put some color corrector under my eyes just so that we could talk about more foundation stuff today. And so I have dark circles. We are going to be covering color correctors in the really near future in depth. So make sure you're subscribed and you will see that coming up in the really near future. So during this summer, actually over the last year, I got heavily into full coverage foundations. Some of them were extremely matte, and it's so funny with makeup how we tend to evolve our preferences as we go along, and foundation is definitely one of those. I kind of morphed from doing really matte foundation to putting oils into my foundation, seeing what that did, and now I'm kind of at a place where I can show you about how much glow is the perfect amount of glow for your face for most of our mature faces. There's always personal preference, guys, so keep that in mind. And if you're into that super flat matte look, more the power to you. But this is what I have found has worked better for me after I've really tried just a ton of foundations over the last year. My tried and true method of applying foundation has always been a sponge, because I can dampen the sponge and I find that works the best with my mature skin. But certainly use whatever method that you enjoy using, and I can show you some tips and tricks for buffing out your foundation if you have applied too much and those kinds of things in the future. But right now let's just focus in on the finish of the foundation, which is trying to get you guys to observe how different a satin finish has as opposed to a matte finish for mature skin. So keep with me. I'm going to show you what I was using. It's actually almost empty. It was the Huda Beauty, the Cheesecake 250. You guys watch me. Faux filter. It's a luminous matte. So it is a matte finish foundation. They call it a luminous matte, but I wanted to show you guys this going on. It is super full coverage. So I'm going to take 2 pumps onto my hand. Okay. And it is super thick. You guys can see, like in texture, it's not dripping really at all. It's staying there pretty well. It's thick. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just take a little bit and put it on there with my finger to place it down so you guys can see the difference. And I'm going to fully cover. I personally go under my eyes with my foundation because it already gives me some more additional coverage before I hit it with concealer, just because of my dark circles. So you guys can do it, like I said, with your sponge. You could use the flat side of your sponge if you want to. These are great for keeping the amount you're putting on to a minimal, but this might look good on camera, but what happens is after it's been a few hours and it settles in, and say you're sweating or anything like that, that matte foundation can really accentuate the lines and wrinkles and dehydration of your skin over time. So you guys can see, I'm just going to put on one more layer of this foundation. See, it's really good full coverage, this one from Huda. And on the other side of my face, I'm going to put a satin foundation so you guys can see the difference, compare coverage, and also compare what it does to the skin. And the foundation isn't the only thing that we're talking about. We're going to cover powder as well, and powder obviously mattifies your skin and seals your skin, so applying that incorrectly can immediately affect all of the work that you've done on your foundation. So stay tuned for that. So as you guys can see, for going for full coverage with the Huda, it is coverage. It is awesome for coverage, no doubt. I'm not downing Huda at all for their foundation, and you know, this one is in Cheesecake 250G. So I'm going to pull out the boomxbeauty foundation, the satin foundation with an SPF 15, so it does have that beautiful sunscreen in it. The FK 105 is the color I'm going to put on because it's kind of like the closest to what I did with the Huda. And we're just going to go on the other side. I still have my dampened foundation brush, and we'll do the same thing, and so I can show you guys the difference in finish. So this satin foundation, it goes on, I've got 2 pumps exactly like Huda. It goes on and it feels lighter than the Huda going on the skin. You can feel it. And when the satin foundation dries down, it dries down with a little bit more of a skin-like finish instead of this kind of masky appearance. And that's another problem that happens with your matte foundations, is it looks really mask-like and isn't as forgiving in the wrinkles as a satin foundation is. So although I might not get, you know, the crazy coverage that I'm getting on this side, you'll see when I'm finished putting on just the foundation how it gives a lot more skin-like finish, and it actually just feels more nourishing on the skin. And I'll just put this everywhere. So yes, I mean, Huda has called this a luminous matte, and like I said before, you guys, I wore this for like a year as my favorite foundation because I love the coverage of it. But it's funny how we morph, and you know, I had it in my head I have to have this like heavy coverage all the time, and you really, you know, I got hooked on that skin-like finish with good coverage, but I really wanted to see my skin, especially as I got such a nice glow in the summertime. Right now we're looking pretty dull because it's winter time and a lot of us are just like white as anything. Okay, so let's just take a look. I've just got a little bit right here. Whoopsie. I'm just gonna give you guys a better close-up. So I don't know if you guys can see. So I've got myself here on the Huda side. Really, I'll come up as close as I can. And then let's just turn over to the satin finish foundation side. And you can see in terms of finish is concerned, this one has, like, especially when I look into this area here, I don't know if you guys can see that. The texture of the skin on the very surface looks really a lot more cakeified in here and prominent. And on the satin finish side, although there's not as much maybe coverage, it's more medium coverage, the skin itself doesn't look as cakey. I could see little bits coming through of, you know, natural freckles and things, which I don't mind. And overall, it's just more youthful. When I'm looking in the mirror and I'm looking at the skin, this bits here, this matte, solid coverage here, is really taking away from the kind of beauty that you get from your own natural finish of your skin. So I am just so different now as to what, and even when I smile, look, can you guys see that difference in here? All of this is so much more than this, and I haven't put powder on, you guys. You can see there's like 8 more wrinkles on the edge of your eye than there is here. So I want you guys to keep that in mind when you're choosing the finish of your foundation, to allow your skin to look a little bit like skin, and having a super heavy full coverage makeup is definitely going to affect your lines. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of my face. as my preferences now are concerned, I am definitely leaning towards a satin finish foundation. If you guys want to check out my foundations, feel free to go to boomxbeauty.com and look at them. There are different finishes. I do have a full coverage matte, I do have a satin, I do have a BB cream, and I do have a powder foundation as well. So there is something for everybody. But as I've matured, I'm finding that a satin finish as opposed to a heavy matte finish is more wearable, easier on my lines, and definitely gives a more youthful appearance. And for those reasons, I suggest give it a try if you're stuck in the mindset I have to have matte, matte, matte. And you know, with these foundations, they are somewhat self-setting, so you really don't even have to put powder if you don't want to. And if you just like that kind of glowy look or a little bit more moisturized, fabulous. You can even incorporate an oil on your foundations or in your foundation or on top of your foundation if you like it even more juicy looking. But right now I'm just liking kind of a natural pinch cheek glow, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this. So yeah, see you later, matte foundations. Bye for now, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope it was helpful. See you soon.